everyone. I'm Bashar. You are watching the channel Techquest Learning Point, and I am here with a new episode of the tutorial Programming C# for Beginners. Today I am going to start seventh episode on the new topic errors and exception handling, and it is the seventh episode of this series of tutorial programming C# for beginners. It is a complete C# programming course which enable any learner to make their basic foundation on C# programming, where 6 number of episode has already been discussed with lab in Visual Studio 2022 environment. In this episode I will discuss on understanding exception handling, using try and catch statement, using finally statement, and using throw statement, as well as I will show with example to make your concept more clear in Visual Studio. Okay, let's start. Understanding exception handling. In C#, exception handling refers to a set of techniques for dealing with unexpected errors that may occur during program execution. It's like having a safety net in place to prevent your program from crashing if someone goes wrong. Imagine you are driving a car. You expect the road to be smooth and clear, but there is always chance for might encounter bumps, potholes, or even unexpected obstacles. Exception handling is like having shock absorbers and airbags in your car. It helps you gracefully navigate these unexpected situations and keep your program running smoothly. Here's how it works. Identifying exceptions. C# defines various types of exceptions that can occur, such as system exception, general system errors like out of memory errors, I/O exception, errors related to file or network operations, arithmetic exception, errors like division by zero, null reference exception, trying to access a non-existent object, using try and catch statement. The try-catch statement is a fundamental element of exception handling in C#. It helps your program handle unexpected errors gracefully and prevent crashes. Think of it as a safety net that catches falling code. Structure and flow. A try-catch statement has two main parts. Try block. This block contains the code you expect to run normally. If your exception occurs within this block, the program jumps to catch block. Catch block. This block defines how to handle specific exceptions that might be thrown in the try block. Each catch block can handle a specific exception type. Here's the basic syntax. In try blocks, code that might throw exception. In catch blocks, handle the exception and continue execution. Example, catching division by zero. Let's see an example of catching a division by zero exception. Try block. This will throw a division by zero exception catch block. Lock the execution for debugging purposes. In this example, if the division by zero happens, the program won't crash. Instead, the catch block will be triggered, displaying an error message and printing the exception details. Multiple catch blocks and finally block. Have a look into the code snippet where multiple catch is used. You can have multiple catch blocks, each handling a different exception type. In try block, code format exception. If format related exception is occurred, the program execution jumped to the catch block of format exception. Otherwise, it jumped to catch block to exception. Benefits of using try catch. Improved program robustness. prevents crashes and unexpected behavior, enhance user experience, provides informative error messages and graceful error recovery. Easier debugging makes it easier to identify and fix bugs. Remember, using try-catch statements effectively is crucial for writing robust and reliable C# programs. I hope this example and explanation clarify the try-catch statement. Feel free to ask if you have any further questions through comments. Using finally statement. The finally statement in C#, your safety net for resource cleanup. The finally statement in C# acts as a safety net for ensuring important actions are executed regardless of whether your program encounters an error or runs successfully. Imagine it like an automatic door closer that guarantees the door shuts behind you even if you forget or encounter a obstacle on your way out. Structure and flow. The finally block follows the try and catch blocks within the exception handling clauses. Its code will always be executed no matter what happens in the try or catch blocks. Try block. In try block, code that might throw an exception. In catch block, handle the exception. Finally block, code that will always be executed regardless of exception. Example, finally statement. Let's see how finally can be used to ensure a file is always closed after reading its contents, even if an error occurs. Have a look into the example. File name with path is stored in the variable file path. File is opened in reader in catch block. If any exception occurred in the try block, it jumped into catch block. Otherwise, it does not execute. Finally block. Finally block must execute and the file will be closed if open. Here, the finally block ensures the file is closed even if an exception occurs while opening or reading it. This prevents resources like file handles from being left open and causing issues. Benefits of using finally. Guarantees resource cleanup. Ensures resources like files, databases, or network connections are always released, even in case of errors. Prevents resource leaks. Avoids resource leaks that can lead to performance issues and stability problems. Simplifies code structure. Keeps resource management code centralized and avoids duplicate code in each catch block. Remember, using finally effectively can improve your program's reliability and resource management, making it more robust and efficient. Using throw statement. The throw statement in C# is used to proactively raise an exception, forcing the program to stop at the current point and jump to nearest appropriate catch block. Think of it like throwing a red flag when you encounter a problem that your program cannot handle gracefully on its own. Here's how it works. Structure. The throw statement can be used with a or without an exception object. Throw throws the currently caught exception to the next catch block. Throw exception object throws the specified exception object even if it was not previously caught. Example, checking for invalid input. Let's see how throw can be used to validate use input and raise an exception if it's invalid. In this example, if the user enters an invalid format, as for example ABC or a negative age, the throw statement triggers the catch block in the calling method, displaying an error message and returning -1 as an invalid age value. Benefits of using throw. Explicitly signal errors. Clearly indicates when your program encounters a problem it cannot handle. improved control flow, pushes error handling to the appropriate location in the code. Encapsulation of validation logic keeps validation logic centralized and reusable. Important points: only throw exceptions for serious errors that your program cannot recover from. Choose the appropriate exception type to accurately represent the error. Avoid throwing generic exception like exception without providing specific details. Remember, using throw effectively can make your code readable, maintainable, and robust by clearly highlighting and handling potential issues.
Now I will demonstrate how to handle the various exceptions in program by using the multiple catch blocks, including finally block. Here I will write a very small program to demonstrate divide by zero exception, format exception, and exception. Let's execute the program in order to check the result. Result is 5. That means this program is working correctly. Now I want to add another catch block. Now I want to check for the second catch block. Enter input 1, let's say it's 40. Input 2, 4A. Enter. Error: invalid input format. Input string was not in a correct format. That means second catch block occurred. Now I want to add the finally block. Check the program. Let's execute the program step by step. Input the first second number, let's say it's result is 5, printed here. Let's run again. First value is 40. Second value is 0. After execution this line, the execution jumped into the divide by 0 exception because the input 1 is divided by the input 2 value 0. That's why this exception has occurred. Now this block is executed. This message is printed and the system message attempted to divide by 0 also printed. Now I want to check the second catch blocks, the invalid input format. Okay, let's run again. First input, let's say 70. Second input 5p. As the second input format is not correct, that's why this execution jumped from this line to this catch block format exception, and here this error message will be displayed in the screen. The system input string was not in a correct format. Error invalid input format. Input string was not in a correct format. The catch block, the main function of the catch block is to handle the exception. Now I want to check the finally block. Finally block is always executed, whether the catch block is executed or not. Let's run again. Input value 70. After execution this line, it jumped into the finally, and always this is executed. The output results 10, code that will always be executed regardless of the execution. These lines are for taking input values from keyboard. This line calculates the input and input 1 and input 2. That is, input 1 is divided by input 2 and result is stored is result variable, and this line print the result. This is the divided by zero exception catch block. This block is found to be executed when any integer value is divided by 0 and the custom message error division by 0 is not allowed, as well as system error message is shown. Otherwise, this block is skipped. So it's clear that the divided by 0 exception is responsible to handle the division by 0 and this related exception. This is the format exception catch block area. This block is found to be executed when non-integer value is taken through the variable input 1 or input 2 and the custom message error invalid input format as well as the system error message is shown. Otherwise, this block is skipped. So it's clear that the format exception is responsible to handle the format and this related exception. This finally block will always be executed. It does not depend on try and catch blocks. Usually it can handle the situation where the code snippet is compulsory to execute in program. For instance, database connectivity. If database connection is established, it must be released at the end of program. In finally block, database is disconnected. Later I will demonstrate it in database connectivity episode. I hope you all are clear about the use of exception handling in C#. I believe it's a good practice to use the exception handling in a program for a good programmer. Happy learning and enjoy learning.